been really fun. It has been a journey. We have had a million curveballs thrown at us the last couple of days as far as just shows and stuff that were supposed to be happening, but we made it through and have a very busy week this week promoting the record too. So I'm really excited about all of it. Yeah, the creative process for Side Effects of the Heart has been a journey in itself. I started writing for this record about 4 years ago, right when I signed my record deal with Monument Records. And then the pandemic happened, which no one obviously expected. And that kind of threw a curveball to us, and we pivoted and kind of made a different record at the time that was 6 strings, and which was an EP, and then continued writing for Side Effects of the Heart. But you know what it kind of all came out to by the time we finished up with this record was really all of the life that I have lived in the last 29 years of my life, and that's falling in love and having your heart broken. And I've been chasing this dream of music for over a decade now. Which has, been a whole nother journey in itself. And then I've gotten married and had my first child. And so I've gone through all of these different phases of life over the last years. And so that's really what this record is for me, the idea of what we're all going through in life together. And I think a lot of times we feel alone in that. And the more I talk to people and the more that I learn about life, the more that I realize that we're all in it together, and it's just messy. So we just gotta have each other's backs to get through it. But that's all the side effects of the heart, and so that's what this record is all about. I mean, through the whole thing, honestly, for me, I learned a lot about myself in the fact of pushing myself to be more honest in my songwriting, which I've always tried to do, but I feel like sometimes you can start BSing yourself a little bit sometimes without realizing. And Shane McAnally is co-president of Monument Records, where I'm signed, and he also executive produced this record, and we wrote some songs on it together and stuff too. And he was a huge part of just continuously pushing me and being like, this song, I don't believe what you're saying, like this song isn't good enough. And he really pushed me, and to have somebody like him, who's one of the greatest and biggest writers in Nashville and really just music history, to continue to push me in that way. I would say that's been the biggest thing for me, is just to grow as a songwriter and as a producer, because I did co-produce this whole record, and I wrote all the songs and played most of the guitars. And so I think in all of that aspect for me is the thing that I've learned and grown the most in, is just in the craft of all of it, I would say. Shane's amazing. I mean, I've said this in interviews before, and I know a lot of other people have said this before too, but he truly does bring out the best in you when you're in the room, whether that's writing or recording or whatever it is. Like, he is the best because he makes you your best version of yourself, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest attributes that you could have as a person. And so that's really, if I could say anything about him, it would be that. It's just like, he truly does try to make you be your best version of yourself, and that's a really powerful thing. Yeah, Brandy Clark is a really good friend of mine, and we originally met during the pandemic because I was supposed to be going out on tour with her, and then that got put to a halt. And so she was out in California, and I was home in Nashville, and Zoom writing was at a height at the time. And we got set up to write a song together, and we wrote Women and Horses. That was the very first song that we wrote together, and hadn't even really met in person yet, which is amazing. And so we wrote that song, and which is really, it was her title, but funny enough, I was about to get married, and I was in a really interesting place in my life because I was, in those emotions, and I grew up rodeoing, and I grew up barrel racing, and I grew up on a small horse farm. So she had no idea any of these things about me, and started talking about my story. And my mom and my sister and my wife are 3 very strong, independent, wild-hearted women, and I know that I would not be the man that I am without any of the 3 of them. And also, I think I know it sounds weird, but I think they also compare to horses really well, because again, I think they shaped a big part of who I am in the same exact reasons that those women did as well. And so that's what this song is about. It's a little bit of a thank you letter, I guess, to them, and a love letter to them for the way that they shaped me. And so all that to be said, Brandy came back into the story with this song years after we wrote it, and I record most of the background vocals myself on the record as well, but I'd sang them on this song and the harmonies just didn't feel right with me doing it. And so Brandy was amazing because she was also up in New York doing her shucked stuff for Broadway and all of the above. And we got her into a studio and got her to sing the harmonies quickly for us. And it brought the song to life in a way that I could have never imagined, because even as a harmony part, she still has this incredible gift of telling a story, and she's just so good at that. And so I'm really thankful that we have Brandy on the record singing with us as well as a writer on the song. You know, it's probably a little bit to a fault sometimes that I'm as hands-on with all of it as I am, but I just truly love creating music in all aspects of it. And if that's playing guitar, if that's producing, if that's writing, singing, whatever it is, like I really do love all of it. And I also just can't imagine, for me personally, not that I don't trust the people that I'm working with or my team, like they're amazing, but I just can't imagine just completely taking my hands off after we've recorded it and being like, cool, I can't wait to hear it when it's done. Like that for me just would drive me crazy, more so than the amount of time that we spend in all of the parts of making it all. So I just am very hands-on with all of it, and I just love doing it that way. I just don't foresee myself being able to do it any other way. Let me think here for a second. I guess for the record in general, a fun fact secret, if you haven't listened to it yet, or maybe you didn't finish all the way through or whatever, I have a 2-year-old son. He just turned 2 about a week ago, and he made a guest appearance on the very last song that I actually recorded it on him on my phone in a doctor's appointment checkup for him. I had this idea to have his voice at the end of it, and he was just being really cute, and so I just recorded it on my phone, and then we dropped it into the session. And then my wife is also playing classical violin on that song, so that whole track is called Dad Now, and it's just 3 of us on the whole song. So that's a fun secret fact, I guess, if you might not know that, for the record. And then I guess just a personal one, I'm really into vintage things in general. Like most of my clothes I wear are vintage. I love vintage watches and all the above, but I really recently have been into vintage camera and shooting film photography. I take my old Pentax camera around with me everywhere, and I'm obsessed with shooting film photography. So that's a random secret maybe that you might not know unless you do a deep dive.